Okay guys, we will be doing human livers today. Now, as you can see, we have machines. You have an idea of machines. So simple machine is a thing which gives us a mechanical advantage. The aim of any machine is to give us an advantage, that is reduce the kind of human effort. Fine. So it also balances multiple forces, and it of course enhance the force. It reduces the force also, and it can modify the direction of force. Fine. And it is also responsible for enhancing the speed of motion, the range of motion and speed of motion. This is the aim of a simple machine. Now in liver, we know that liver is a rigid bar which is moving around a axis, a fulcrum. Okay? Herein a liver is a rigid bar which is a bone that turns around an axis of rotation which is that called as fulcrum or a joint. The liver rotates about the axis as a result of a force which is produced by a muscle contractions. Are you having this PPT open? Is it open? Okay, fine. The force acts against a resistance, and this resistance is weight or gravity. Now, we have to find the relationship between the three things. One is fulcrum, the other is the effort, and the last is the resistance. That is the joint, muscle insertion, and the weight. Now, if you see this axis, the axis is in between the force and resistance. Fine. Example of the first class liver is the scissors. We have discussed this earlier also. Fine. And of course, the suboccipital muscle, that is suboccipital joint, which is responsible, which is in a case of first class liver. Herein you see in this image, the suboccipital joint is acting as a fulcrum. The weight is the weight of the face, and the third is the effort has been done by the splenius and the neck, which is causing the neck extension. Fine. Now, what is the advantage of this? Now, if the axis lies near to the fulcrum, you can see if the axis is lying near to the fulcrum, that shows that the effort, if the axis is lying near to the effort arm, the force arm, then the force arm will be less, whereas the resistance arm will be more. The resistance arm will be more. That what does this signify? More angular displacement is there. That means I can use these kind of exercises to increase the range of motion, to increase the speed of motion. Fine. Now, if in the second case you see the axis is near to the resistance arm, now what I can do is, here the effort will be more, and herein the resistance arm is less. Fine. So these exercises can be used for strengthening. Fine. Fine. So this is designed for speed and range of motion when the axis is closer to the force arm, and designed for strength training when the axis is closer to the resistance arm. Is this clear? Yes. This point is clear. Now let us see the second class liver. In second class liver, the resistance is in between the axis and the fulcrum. Now this is a nutcracker, and you can see the load is in between the fulcrum and the force. Fine. And in human body, you have an example of gastrocsoleus. You know, TMJ joint being the fulcrum, the talus being the point where the weight of the whole body will be concentrated, and the action will be of gastrocsoleus muscle. Okay, and responsible for plantar flexion. You can see for this, the effort is been shown, how the muscle contraction will take place, the fulcrum and the head of the talus. Now, the second class liver, the example can be a wheelbarrow. Fine. Where the fulcrum, the load is in between, and the effort is at one end and the fulcrum at the other end. Now, if we see for the third order liver, in third class liver, the fulcrum is on one side, the resistance arm is on the other side, whereas the effort is in between. So you see, this is an example of a third class liver where you are trying to lift a cup with your hand, where the fulcrum is your elbow and the force is the forearm muscles, and your load is in the hand. So that is, wrist is lifting that cup. So the forearm muscle is lifting the long flexors and extensors of of wrist and hand are working here. Fine. It can also be an example of, you can say, in the case of lifting, I have to lift an object. It can be example of biceps curls also. You can take this as an example too. Fine. Now this is for the biceps. The weight which is acting is, the fulcrum is the elbow. You can see the head of the ulna where it gets inserted. Fine. And the weight is in the hand. Fine. Now this table is very important. I want you guys to go through this table. This is very important. Now see, you see in the first class lever, the arrangement is axis in between the effort and the resistance. The resistance arm and the force arm is in opposite direction, which we saw in seesaw. We saw in seesaw. Okay. Now three aims can be, functional aims can be achieved in this. One, we can achieve balance movement, the movement of equilibrium when we want to gain from that. So how can you do this? If we keep the axis near the middle, if we keep the axis near the middle, like in example of a seesaw or in the case of nodding, we try to maintain our balance. This is basically used in head on body equilibrium reactions. We try to correct ourselves, we try to maintain head on the body using this. If we increase the weight of the face, the neck will move up forward, and if we try to contract the splenius group of muscle more, the neck will move in extension. So this is how we do it. Second aim is speed and range of motion. To get this functional design, for that the axis should be near to the forearm. So the example can be, you can try it with triceps group of muscle. Fine. This is a very good example for triceps. Triceps is basically used. Hams, biceps curls is example of third order lever, whereas triceps curls is example of first order lever. Fine. Force. Third, if our aim is to improve the strength, then the axis should be near the resistance arm, and you can use it for your benefit of getting strengthened. Then the second order lever, you see the resistance arm is in between the fulcrum and the axis. So in between the effort arm and the axis, so the resistance and the force arm is in the same direction. You see, the resistance and the force arm will be in the same direction, and herein second order lever can only be used for strength training. You can use second order lever only for strength training. Why so? Because the axis is near the resistance. Fine. And that is why strength training for plantar flexion of gastrocsoleus can be done easily. Are you with me? Ashish, ab tujhe samajh mein aa raha hai? Okay. Now, the third order lever is when the force is or the effort is in between the axis and the resistance, when we aim towards speed and range of motion. And to get the speed and range of motion, the axis is near the force, and we can use it for biceps training. Fine. This is clear? Now, what are the factors which affect the anatomical levers? Now, this is a simple lever system where we have to balance the effort with the effort arm and the resistance with the resistance arm. That means if the axis is here, we have an effort arm or the force arm and the resistance arm, and this is in a state of equilibrium, balanced state. Fine. Now, this is in a state where the axis is near to the force arm. So the balance is more force. With more force, you need to balance that seesaw. Fine. And herein, balance with less force. Why so? Because the axis is near to the... These diagrams are clear? Okay. Now the factors which are used in anatomical levers is, a lever system can become unbalanced when enough torque is produced. I am hereby talking about torque now here. Fine. A torque is the turning effect of force inside the body which produces a rotation around a joint. Fine. A rotation, that is the why there was a rotatory movement, a displacement was there. So torque is a turning effect of a force inside the body. It causes a rotation around the joint. So torque is force produced by the muscle into the force arm. That is the distance from the muscle insertion from the joint. Muscle insertion से joint का distance is force arm. Now, if we see an example, this was an example which we tried to do it the other day. ठीक है? Now, if we can see I want you guys, I guess you will not scroll to the next slide and try to calculate this and tell me how much torque is needed to produce or move 45 kg weight when RA is 0.25 meter and FA is 0.1 meter. You have to use the formula F, force effort arm, effort into effort arm is equal to resistance into resistance arm. You are aware of this formula? Yes, you just need to fill this. Can you please tell me how much torque needs to be produced to move 45 kg when RA is 0.25 meter and the FA is 0.1 meter? You need to tell me the torque. .45 kg, 0.25 is the RA, resistance arm, and FA is 0.1 meter. Yes, can you tell me? आपने फोर्स फाइंड करना है ना? कैन यू, आप फोर्स नहीं फाइंड कर सकते? आपके पास मैंने FA दे दिया, RA दे दिया एंड आपको वेट बता दिया 45 kg, दैट इज R, रेजिस्टेंस बता दिया, तो F की वैल्यू आप फाइंड कर सकते हो? क्या हो गया, इतना टाइम क्यों लग रहा है? Yes, 112.5 Newton force or torque is required to lift 45 kg weight. Now see, try to understand this. मैं आपको ये एग्जाम्पल के साथ कुछ अंडरस्टैंड करवाना चाह रही हूँ. Now you see, नेक्स्ट फॉर्म के अंदर ये लिखा था, so F is equal to FA, R is equal to RA. Now this was the distance, this was the force arm, this was the resistance arm. Now we are seeing force into 0.1 meters, 45 into 2.25 meters, and we could find that 112.5 kg Newton force, kg meter force, that is Newton force is required to lift 45 kg weight. Now what we are supposed to do? In second example, I have increased the FA, force effort arm distance, from 0.1 to 0.15. Now try to calculate again the same thing. I have now changed the FA, that is the effort arm, from 0.1 to 0.15. Don't scroll, बाबू, अब scroll करने की जरूरत नहीं है, please. अब 75 न्यूटन फोर्स लग रही है to lift 45 kg weight. When you have increased the FA, when you have increased the effort arm, when you have increased the effort arm, you see only 112.5 k Newton से हमारा weight कैसे 75 में. Now take another example. Are you guys with me? Harjinder, are you getting me? Yes. Now if you go and calculate another thing, I have now decreased the RA from 0.25 to only 2. From 0.25 to only 2. Now can you calculate how much Newton of force is required? Same calculation. Same calculation. हाँ, 0. No, it is not 0.15, it is 1. I have not changed FA here. I have only changed the RA from 0.25 to 0.2. 90 Newton force is required to lift 45 kg weight. Now you can understand which one is more efficient. Now you please tell me. Which example? First example, second example, third example, second. That means with variation of FA arm, variation or increasing the FA arm, I can decrease the load to a the magnitude of load can be increased proportionally. Good, fine. Proportionally मैं ज़्यादा amount से उसको reduce कर सकती हूँ as compared to RA को reduce करने से. RA के साथ भी reduce हो रहा है, that is RA को अगर मैं decrease कर रही हूँ, this is 90 kg, 90 Newton force is required, but it is more efficient is अगर मैं FA आर्म को रेज कर लूँ। अब ये क्लियर है? अब तुम प्रैक्टिकली अप्लाई कर सकते हो, इनको कर सकते हो कि नहीं कर सकते? अपने लिवर्स के साथ अप्लाई कर सकते हो, बॉडी लिवर्स के साथ इस चीज को। यस अमन, फाइन, ओके। नाउ the actual torque needed to move a given resistance depend upon the length of effort arm and resistance arm. Now as the effort arm increases or resistance arm decreases, the required torque also decreases. As the effort arm decreases and resistance arm increases, the required torque increases. This line is now clear? Okay. Now how do we use it in our body is with lever arm. We gave you this example, long lever arm, short lever arm. We apply it, we depending upon what is our functional use, whether we want to increase the speed or whether we want to increase the strength. We will be using this lever arm for our benefit. Fine. And this is a simple technique. Now an increase in the lever arm will increase the velocity. Try to understand this line. An increase in the lever arm will increase the velocity, the amount of work or the amount of distance which is covered, and the speed will be more. Giving you an example in this. Now if you see an object is here, fine, you can see this slide? No. Are you able to see this? Okay. Now can you tell me, there is one object which is at point S, there is another object is at point Z. Can you tell me which one is having a better increase in velocity or increase in displacement? The point at S which is moving to S dash, or the point at Z which is moving to Z dash? Z and Z dash. इसकी displacement ज़्यादा हो रही है. Is this clear? Okay. Now you can understand. So this principle is basically applied here. Can you see this image? We have discussed this thing in the class, last class, where I was not able to grab the attention of the whole class. Few of them could understand what I was saying. That's why I added these slides in this PPT so that you can all can understand. Now if you can see this fellow, fine. Now he has used his long lever arm. He could have done it like this, but he has used his long lever arm to cover up the speed, to cover up with his racket the speed and hit the ball. He has used this torque with long lever arm. Fine. A long lever would increase the speed at the end of the racket. Question is, unless an extra weight was too great, that is the extra weight, the ball can be the weight of the ball can be a big question over here, or the tension of the racket can be a question over here. But the long lever arm will increase the speed of motion. That is, ball hit kar rahe hai, you have increased the lever arm, the speed is more. Fine. The speed can be slow only if the weight and the tension is changed. The tension of the racket, the strings of the racket, or the weight of the tennis ball, if it is changed. Fine. Now I was giving an example of this. He is a basketball player and he is jumping and about to place the ball in the basket. Now tell me the kind of lever. Which lever is applied? We discussed this. Now you guys know why it is second order lever. Now it is the fulcrum. Again you see the second order lever is applied. Herein the mechanical advantage in that small amount of effort can produce a large amount of force to allow leverage to jump in the air. Fine, but what mechanical disadvantage, Ashish, is this point was only written for you, for writing mechanical advantage and mechanical disadvantage. Mechanical disadvantage in that only a small amount of movement is produced at the ankle joint. A very small amount of movement can be produced. Wherein advantage goes is that he can jump in the air. Fine. This example is clear? Okay. Now this is regarding the Newton's law of motion. Fine. Newton's law of motion for every action, law of inertia. First is an object will remain at rest or in uniform motion unless acted upon by an external force. You can see the images, the pool table, and the second one is the ball and the footballer. He's The ball is at rest. Fine. And the balls in the pool table is also at rest till the time it is not hit by the stick. Newton's second law is law of acceleration. The acceleration of an object by a force is directly proportional to the magnitude of force in the same direction as the force and inversely proportional to the mass of the object. You can see the ball. The basketball is meant to be light. If it is heavy, it will not go for the basket. It will just roll on the floor. We gave you example for this. Is this point clear? Fine. Okay, the Newton's third law of motion is for every action there is equal and opposite reaction. I gave you an example of rowing. Fine. Displacement, the amount of water which is displaced, the more the boat will move forward. Okay? So this can be also used in, yes, this can also be used in splinting. So this is another example which I want to discuss with you guys. Now, he is a splinter. If you can see the image, you can zoom in for the image. When there is more than one vector, they must be added together and their direction must be taken into account. We discussed in the second class the vector system, sign convention. Fine. This line is taken from that. Try to understand. I'm reading it again. When there is more than one vector here means more than one force is acting. They must be added together or their direction must be taken into account. The splinter to the right has a vertical force of weight. दो forces act कर रही हैं, weight that is acting downwards and ground reaction force acting upwards. Now other forces such as friction and air resistance is also taken into account. Now Newton's, if we only say that the forces cancel each other out, if we say that the weight is cancelling the ground reaction force in that condition, fine. If we say that the weight and the ground reaction force, since these two forces are acting on the opposite side and they are equal and opposite forces and they cancel each other, fine. So what will be the net force? What will be the net force? Use the first law of Newton here. What will be the net force? We have discussed four forces here: weight, ground reaction force, resistance and friction. Air resistance and friction. Air resistance and friction मुझे चलने नहीं देगी, मुझे resist करेगी. अब मैं बोल रही हूँ दो forces balance हो गई हैं, तो कौन सी force रह गई है? Air resistance and friction. So apply the first law of motion. Will the splinter move or not? Will remain stationary because he is not having any force. समझ में आया? Fine. Now what will happen if they don't cancel each other out? If these forces don't cancel each other out, if the weight and the ground reaction force don't cancel each other, what will happen here? The body will be propelled forward. It depends upon, acceleration depends upon what? Force, and acceleration depends upon force and inversely proportional with the mass. So herein I am saying if the weight is down, acting down, and the ground reaction force, they are not balanced, the frictional force is acting behind, the athlete has to make a quadriceps pull or the quadriceps muscle ka effort more to get a first propulsion or propel forward. To propel forward, he needs this force. We are applying here in Newton's second law of motion. Sports, Aman, sports कर रहा है ना? Sports में दिमाग लगेगा थोड़ा सा, ठीक है? Now this was higher order thinking question which we did in the last class. We will not repeat. I have put it over here because I want to prepare it for my future classes too. So two rugby players going into a tackle. Player A has mass 92 kgs and is accelerating at a speed of 2 meter per second. Player B has a mass of 65 kg and is accelerating at a rate of 3 meter per second. Use Newton's second law of motion first to calculate the resultant force at the point of impact. ठीक है, and second identify which player resultant force will favor. You can see herein it is 11 Newton of resultant force is there and it is favoring player B. Fine. This we did it in the class. Is this example clear? अमन आपको समझ में आ रहा है? Okay. Now this is a question which I want you guys to slide ना करना आगे. This is another exam question for you guys. Now apply, please don't slide forward. Last slide पे मत जाना. ठीक है? I just wanted to give you an example like this question will be asked in the exam. Please. Fine. And another example is use Newton's third law of motion to describe takeoff phase of a high jumper. Takeoff phase of a high jumper. To make you understand, I will be giving you an image so that you understand what is the takeoff phase of a jumper. Can you zoom in? Can you zoom in, please? You can see over here he was running straight, then he took an angle and he started running horizontally, and then he squatted and then he rose vertically to a height, and then he crossed over that bar to a landing position. टेक ऑफ फेज ऑफ अ हाई जंपर. लैंडिंग में नहीं हम बात कर रहे, ओनली टेक ऑफ फेज की बात कर रहे हैं. अप टिल द वर्टिकल जंप उसने लिया है वहां तक, दैट इज द टेक ऑफ फेज. टर्निंग दैट बैरियर इज नॉट अ टेक ऑफ फेज. रनिंग, taking a horizontal angle, squatting, vertical jump, that is the takeoff phase. और उसके बाद उसने वो क्रॉस किया, that is not a part of a takeoff phase. So how Newton's three laws of motion are applicable over here? All the three laws are applicable here. All the three laws are applicable here. फर्स्ट लॉ रनिंग का हो गया. ओके, यस. सेकेंड लॉ क्या वेट पे क्या कैसे डिपेंड करेगा? वेट के साथ एक्सेलरेशन, वेट इज राइट थिंग बट यू आर नॉट एबल टू एक्सप्लेन मी इन वर्ड्स. यस, एक एक करके बोलो. हाँ,
जितना उसका एयर का मास कम होगा उतना ही उसका टॉप ज्यादा होगा, क्योंकि उसकी एक्सेलरेशन ज्यादा हो रही है, तो वो बार के ऊपर इजीली वो जंप करता है.
but here how it is applicable over here, where it is applied over here, in which phase it is being applied? You are right, the mass should be less so that the acceleration should be more. In which phase it is applying? You are right in this, partially you are all right, you are getting into it, but just think कि ये कहाँ लग रहा है? जब वो कूदा था तो थर्ड लॉ लग रहा है. ओके, जब वो कूदा था तो थर्ड लॉ लग रहा है. सेकेंड लॉ कहाँ लगा?
सेकंड लॉ जब उसने जंप कर लिया.
सोचो, फर्स्ट लॉ कब लगा था, एक बार ये भी सोच लेना. फर्स्ट लॉ रनिंग के लिए लगा था. आर यू श्योर? क्या बोला था? टर्निंग पे फर्स्ट लॉ लगा था. चेंज इन द डायरेक्शन ऑफ रन वर्टिकली. जब आप सीधा चल रहे थे एंड देन ही टर्न्ड अराउंड because he wanted to squat. Second law, the more squat, the better will be the vertical one, the path. And mass को, and again action reaction को भी आप इसी में ही ले सकते हो. The better will be the height. More he will push down, the better will be the reaction. No? No? Let us read through this. Please. आप zoom करके read कर सकते हैं, मैं read करूं. Newton's first law is the law of inertia. Force is needed to change a body's state of motion. The athlete must push down into the ground in order to change the state of motion from horizontal to vertical. Fine. Now Newton's third law, for every action there is equal and opposite reaction. To drive the body upwards, the athlete must produce an action force into the ground. ठीक है, thus produce a ground reaction force. Newton's second law of motion is the magnitude and direction of applied force determines the magnitude and direction of acceleration. The more force that the athlete pushes down with, the more force with which they are pushed upwards. The athlete pushes down into the ground in order to move up over the bar. The greater the mass of the athlete, the more force they would have to apply for this vertical movement. So all the three laws are applicable in the takeoff phase of a high jumper. Now guys, in this class I tried to, in this slide also, I tried to give you maximum example of a football player. I missed a weightlifter. I will add that slide also. But a football player was there, a sprinter was there, a high jumper was there, any other? A rugby player, a basketball player, giving you an example of how it is applied, how these lines of forces are applying, Newton's law is applied, and how levers can be used. Fine. So I think you should switch on a mode where you start thinking of giving in exercises with keeping in mind your levers and Newton's laws. Fine. Is this topic now clear? Aman? Now I am able to clear your concepts. Harjinder? This was a repetition. This was a repetition to the